Business Hour, weeknight 6:30 Eastern on CNN.
Tonight, some tout him as the perfect political candidate, but he says his ambition is to keep America's promise to at-risk kids. He's the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, retired General Colin Powell. He's our guest for the hour next on Larry King Live. Good evening. It's our Millennium Month, and we continue in grand style tonight with General Colin Powell, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, now chairman of America's Promise, the Alliance for Youth. A couple of notes. Mike Wallace is with us tomorrow, and President Clinton will be here on Thursday night. In the past few years, General Powell and I have become good friends. It's always great to see him and always great to welcome him to Larry King Live. Let's deal with something right in the news in your comment. We have it right here. This has just been released. Worldwide caution terrorist threat, released by the State Department. In effect, it's saying, don't go anywhere. The United States government believes terrorists may be planning to conduct attacks, including against official and non-official Americans in and around the New Year period from now through mid-January. Warns about overseas travel. What do you make of it?
Well, I think everybody now has to be cautious. I don't think we should allow terrorists, however, to sort of dominate the whole world and say we're not going to go anywhere because we're worried about terrorist threats. It's time to be prudent in our actions, try not to have a regular pattern as you travel. You'd have to be thoughtful about what kind of crowds you go into. And this is a threat. It's a kind of a threat that we have seen in the past, we will continue to see in the future. But I don't think we should give in to the terrorists by saying we're not going anywhere, we're going to just stay home and pretend we're living in a bunker. But I think it's prudent of the State Department to put out this kind of a notification so that people will understand that there are some dangers out there. Let's also hope that with this increased attention to it and with the additional customs inspectors and police activity that will be going on over the next few weeks, this will deter terrorists. I mean, this is not exactly the time you might want to undertake such an attack with such a heightened state of alert. Let's hope that this heightened state of alert and these kinds of warnings not only cause us to be more prudent, but perhaps anyone planning such an incident to wonder if this is the time to do it.
Would you say to Americans, don't travel overseas? That's a pretty good bet?
No, I would say that if you have made plans and you are planning to go overseas and enjoy some of the Millennium celebrations, if it was me, I would still go. I would just be careful, make sure that I would vary my route, make sure that I would not be in the crowd at the height of euphoria and the height of the celebrations. But I don't think we should change all of the plans of all of the people who have made plans for this very, very significant week of celebration.
Are you concerned, General, by these people? They've caught a few coming across the border from Canada with apparently arms.
Sure. I think the gentleman who was caught coming across the border up by Seattle is a cause of great concern, and now we have some other people detained in Vermont. All of these things are of concern, but we probably also have some strange people wandering around within our borders that are not foreigners. We understand quite clearly that we can have our own homegrown terrorists. So, yes, we should be concerned, and I would congratulate the customs officials for doing such a good job.
You said, you were telling us in the green room, you had a personal relationship with terrorism, in a sense, when you were in Germany as a soldier, right? Yeah,
terrorism isn't new. I mean, I still remember the days of the Lebanese hostages, and when we did have serious terrorist situations in Europe. With the Baader Meinhof gang and the Red Army and the faction. And when I was a corps commander in Germany some 12, 13 years ago, I was a target of terrorists. They blew up the Post Exchange in Frankfurt in the early 80s, and so I was under heavy bodyguard. So it's something we have had for years, and it will also continue to be a weapon of choice into the next century, perhaps even more so. But we have to keep in mind that terrorists can injure people, they can destroy things, they can kill people, but they can't destroy our way of life. They can't change our society. They are dangerous irritants that we have to go after, but let's not let them ever think that they can change who we are as a people and the way we go about our business.
They're not crazy, though, are they? I mean, we seem to act like they're nuts.
No, some of them are crazy. I mean, there are some crazy people running around. We've seen them in our own country. But for the most part, those who are overseas terrorists have an agenda of some kind, a political agenda, a religious agenda. They're zealots. They're anti-American. We do have our enemies in the world, and we have to recognize that and deal with it, but not deal with it from a position of fear. A position of intelligence collection and being vigilant and going about our business.
Before we get into all you're doing now, I want to discuss some things military, but first let's take care of some things political. Are you surprised that they're always still mentioning you? Now the big thing is vice president. Everyone's talking about the possibility of Powell on the ticket. Is that still out of the question?
Yes. I have no interest in political life, elective political life, and I'm flattered and honored that people would still mention my name. But the position I took in 1995 and the decision I made then remains firm.
Stands. All right, you said elective. George W. Bush yesterday on Inside Politics reported that he's considering taking an overseas trip if he wins the GOP nomination, and reportedly he wants to take you on this trip. It's kind of a fact-finding trip. And there were other reports. The governor of Oklahoma in August said that George W., if elected, would like you as Secretary of State. Is that something you'd be interested in, a cabinet post?
Any president who came to me and asked me to do something in service to the nation, I would have to consider. But Governor Bush and any of the other all the other candidates are out there, all of whom I know. I've had no conversations with any of them concerning a cabinet position.
But you'd have to listen.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
You're not supporting anyone, though, right? Or is it both McCain and Bush? You're supporting both?
Well, it's interesting. I think that the Republican Party has two leading candidates who are very, very strong candidates. That's Governor Bush and Senator McCain. I know them both very, very well, very close to both of them. And as with all other American citizens at this point, I'm watching them both very, very carefully. I can support either one of them, and in due course, I will make a judgment. I have financially supported both of them.
So you're saying we'd be well served with either one?
That's my judgment.
Are you concerned about this temper issue with John McCain?
Not at all.
I mean, no one would know better about service than you.
I know John very, very well. We've been friends for many, many years. I think the world of him, and I have a temper, and he has a temper, and sometimes we have exchanged our tempers with one another.
Really?
Yeah, but show me any real human being who doesn't have a sense of passion and feelings about things that sometimes comes out in the form of a temper. But he's a mature person who controls his emotions and knows that he has a temper just as I do. And so I think that is a red herring. It's a false piece of illusion that's floating around in the public domain. I'm not worried about that.
More on the life and times of General Colin Powell. He's now chairman of America's Promise, the Alliance for Youth. He's with us for the full hour. Don't go away.
I'm an optimist about the next millennium and what kids in college are going to be going into when they get out of college into the next chapter in their lives. Because we have no other superpower adversary. And I think that's a big jump forward. Boy, I wish I were 35 instead of 75. It's going to be a great millennium.
Larry King Live is brought to you by Fidelity Investments. We help you invest responsibly. Visit us at fidelity.com.
Buzz Aldrin and I don't take the same approach to investing. I like trading at home. Buzz trades from far away. Gotcha. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, with the tools you need to trade your way, whether online, two-way pager, or the new Palm 7 handheld computer.
And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to use it.
Speak for yourself, Bob.
Power Street at Fidelity.com. Online trading gets personal.
I have a son, you know.
Where is he?
I don't know.
You have to move forward. The past has its place.
Look at me.
I always answer the questions and I don't want to do it anymore.
I am not going to take care of him. What does he want?
Can you save me? Come on.
This is a regret that you made. Know that you should do better.
Rated R. Now playing in New York and LA. Starts January 7th.
Why do I offer my employees Aflac insurance on top of our regular health insurance? Because I know their names. Because I know their kids' names. And because Aflac helps cover what our other insurance doesn't. If they're sick or injured, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do we have Aflac? Because working together means more than just doing a job. Aflac Supplemental Insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
airbags, a steel safety cage, and a whiplash protection seating system. All the safety you'd expect in a Volvo, at a price you may not. Introducing the Volvo S40.
Great walk, huh, Jake? Your next call.
It's our Millennium Month tonight. An honor to have the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Colin Powell. It was no secret that you were opposed to gays in the military, right? You're generally regarded, I think most people when think of Colin Powell would think of progressive. Have you changed any in that thinking since you left post?
The position that I held while I was chairman, both for President Bush and for President Clinton, was that for gays to serve openly, gays and lesbians to serve openly in the armed forces would be very detrimental to good order and discipline. There were those in the Congress and in the country who wanted an even more severe policy that said not only not openly, but not even if they kept it quiet, if they had any kind of orientation, not to let them in. That position, I think, was the correct one at the time. It was supported by all my colleagues in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, all of the commanders of the armed forces of the United States.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yes, senior non-commissioned officers, the chaplain corps. It was a very serious issue for us, and President Clinton asked our advice, and we gave it to him. And then we worked on it, and it resulted in the don't ask, don't tell policy, which was passed into law. It had been a policy, but it was made a law as a result
After you left, right?
Yes, well, about the time I was leaving. It was made a law because the Congress wanted to assert itself, and it put that in the law, so it can't be changed by a president now. It is in the law, and it has to be changed by Congress. And it was a democratically led Congress that did that.
And now they're saying it's a failure.
It is not a failure. It has served the purpose it was intended. There are some failures in the implementation of it, and I think that's what Secretary Colin is concerned about, and what the president, I think, spoke to last week when he said it was out of whack. Obviously, Senator Bradley and Vice President Gore and Mrs. Clinton would like to see the policy overturned. But it is a policy that's in law, and I think Congress still feels it's the correct policy, and they'll have a chance to review it when the next administration comes in and takes it up with the Congress. I would also point out that, to the best of my knowledge, I've been out 6 years. The current leadership of the armed forces continues to feel that it is the best policy for the armed forces.
So Senator McCain is getting a rap for saying we could have a gay president, but not a gay in the military. That would be a gay commander-in-chief without a gay in the military. So the reason for being against it
because
is
the military is unique, and I agree with Senator McCain.
You could have a gay president.
Of course you could. The military is unique. I would never suggest that what we ask youngsters to do to serve properly and in an effective way in the military should apply to the rest of civilian life. Military life is unique. The demands of military life are unique. We tell people who you will live with, who you will sleep with, who you will spend 24 hours a day with. And it is those unique demands that require these sorts of unique circumstances, which would not be acceptable in any other form of American life, as in any other institution in American life. And it's a position that the Congress took and supported, and it is a position that has been upheld by the courts ever since the policy was implemented, for the simple reason that the military is seen by the courts and by the Congress
unique
to have unique requirements.
Even though, as Barry Goldwater said, there were gays at Normandy in the ground.
There were. There's no question about it. And there are gays and lesbians serving now. We ask that as an additional sacrifice in their service, that they keep their orientation a private matter.
We know that, strange for Joint Chief Chairman, although John Shalikashvili, who followed you, was drafted, you did not go to the Point.
No.
You went to CCNY, a famous free school in New York City.
Great public institutions of our nation.
You wanted to be a geologist, I think, right?
I started out in engineering, busted out into geology, but really only to hang around long enough to get my commission to go in the Army.
You wanted to go in the Army?
Yes.
And it was ROTC, so you went in as a second lieutenant,
yes.
Right? Did you want to go in with the idea of staying in?
Didn't know. I just wanted to go in because in those days, growing up in New York, as you'll recall, Larry, the whole purpose of education was not to self-actualize, but to get a job.
You're right.
And get out of the house. And so I was not terribly skilled at other things, and so the military gave me a way to get my education and also do something that I enjoyed doing and I apparently was going to be able to do well.
When did you know you liked it? I mean, I
liked it when I went in.
Right away?
Right away. I liked it when I was a cadet. I liked it when I went in.
And within a few years,
I liked the order. I liked the discipline. I liked serving the nation. I liked working with people. I liked being around troops. I liked the adventure. And I just never came out. And my parents and the family kept saying, nobody's ever stayed in the Army. You get drafted, you come out. When are you coming out? Went to Vietnam twice, and they realized that maybe I wasn't coming out. And then finally, I love to tell this story, the day I was promoted to Brigadier General, my father had died, but my mother was there. And she finally accepted the fact I was going to stay in, and I was now her son, the general.
That's my son, the general.
My son.
We'll be right back with more of General Colin Powell on this edition of Larry King Live. We will be taking your calls later. Don't go away.
I am where I am today because the Army takes care of its own. I was allowed to rise based on performance. The Army took in a young black kid from ROTC in the South Bronx and brought him to this point. The Army allowed me to climb on the shoulders of the Buffalo Soldiers and other African Americans who had blazed the trail for 300 years of American history. And I hope the day will come soon when all parts of our society do for young minorities what the Army and the other armed services have been doing for young men and women of all color.
He was looking to start over.
I've never seen the ocean. Are you serious?
But their passion
I love you. I know that.
will lead to a mystery
I know what's going on.
that will unlock the secrets
You're lying.
of the Cider House Rules.
This ain't none of your business.
Critics are calling it one of the best films of this or any year.
I don't know.
The Cider House Rules, rated PG-13, now in select cities everywhere Christmas Day.
Is there an insurance company with a 146-year history of proving that your trust is not misplaced? Without question, the St. Paul.
BNP Paribas Group, a highly diversified international bank with global knowledge and local market expertise, gives U.S. investors access to global markets. Discover BNP Paribas Group, a solid platform for informed, innovative solutions.
Keeping your photographs organized has never been easy. But now with the Kodak Picture CD at Walgreens, you can store and organize all your new photos. What's more, the CD includes free software that allows you to crop photos, reduce red eye, and add text. You can even email your photos online. So next time you have your film developed, be sure to order a Kodak Picture CD at Walgreens Photo Center, where America takes its pictures.
Every year we surprise someone with $10 million, but not this year.
Publishers Clearinghouse kicks off the 21st century with $21 million, live on TV Super Bowl Sunday. Watch your mail or go to pch.com and enter.
By the way, General Powell, have your opinions of Vietnam changed over the years? Was that a wrong war?
It was, I think, a noble effort on our part, and we went in the early 60s.
You glad you served there?
Yes. I was very proud to be a GI in Vietnam. When I went back for my second tour in the late 60s, it was clear, however, that our strategy was not going to prevail. And
so in retrospect, it was wrong?
In retrospect, we should have realized in the mid-60s that the direction we were taking would probably not be successful at the end of the day, and the nature of the conflict had escaped us.
There was a story, I guess, critical of you a while back, that you had given knowledge of the My Lai massacre and didn't believe it?
No, the story was that when I was the operations officer in the AmeriCal division, some information came up to us about a atrocity that took place somewhere. And we researched it and did not find anything that was relevant to the inquiry that was made. And so we sent an answer back that said, we can't verify this. It turned out later that that young soldier may have been referring to My Lai, but My Lai happened months before I got there.
Yeah. What makes a good general? What do you look for? What do they look for at these schools, West Point and the Academy? What do they want?
First and foremost, you look for competence. You look for somebody who knows the job and is always studying to get better. You look for character, moral character. You look for people who have courage, physical courage, moral courage, spiritual courage, courage of conviction, somebody who can lead soldiers in battle and have those soldiers willingly follow.
A natural
You can't fool
quality.
soldiers. I think there are some natural aspects to it, and then it can be trained, it can be developed. But I think there are some natural things you have to have.
But you can be successful as an Eisenhower or a Patton.
You can,
right?
And sometimes you need an Eisenhower, and sometimes you need a Patton. And
what was
sometimes you don't need a Patton, and sometimes you don't need an Eisenhower.
Now, the Powell model, again, one of the views given of you with you, that you were the cautious general. You wanted everything, and Eisenhower had that mode too. Is that a safe description?
I think a good general is one who is careful and cautious, and who tries to anticipate what your enemy might do, and brings all power to bear against your enemy. And you should use everything that is at your disposal if it's available to be used. I don't view that as caution as much as I view it as good, solid military planning to achieve an objective that has been set for you, and do it in a way that is decisive and that minimizes the loss of life. But loss of life will be with us. I was at a ceremony yesterday commemorating the 31 GIs we lost 10 years ago, yesterday and today, in the invasion of Panama. So a loss of life is a part of war. But I think good generals plan wars so that you get the objective accomplished and you minimize the loss of life.
That was Eisenhower's #1 thing, right? Minimum loss.
No, #1 thing is to accomplish the mission. I believe that.
With minimum loss.
With minimum loss, but never at the expense of the mission. That's what we're taught as second lieutenants all the way through generals. You've got to accomplish the mission. And then the second thing we're taught is you take care of the troops. You have had entrusted to you the pride of American youth, the sons and daughters of parents. Take care of them. Do you learn a lot when I always hear about generals who read about Grant and Lee and Civil War generals. Do you learn a lot from history? You do learn from history, and anyone who is unfamiliar with the great military leaders of the past probably isn't ready to lead in the future or today. And so we study Grant, and Lee, and Sherman, and Sheridan, and Eisenhower, and Patton, and Marshall, and all the others, and you learn different lessons from each of them. But you always have to put them into the context of the times and in the history of the times, and you don't duplicate them in the present. You just gain insight from how they handled the problems they were given, and hopefully it makes you a better soldier and a better general.
General Powell has some thoughts on today's children and work he's doing with them. We'll also be taking your calls. Don't go away.
Our friends from around the world recognize that this was a humanitarian mission requiring all nations to join in who had the ability to make a contribution.
At Oldie, we see every client as unique. Take Joe Avery, stable owner and former customer of a full-cost broker. He's heard about investing on your own, just you and your computer. But for the important things in life, Joe consults a professional. Joe switched to Oldie to receive what most discount firms don't offer, investment advice suited to his goals. Oldie's advice comes with dramatic commission savings over full-cost firms. Spend your time focused on life. Call Oldie, America's full-service discount broker.
Scientific research says eating raw garlic daily helps maintain a healthy cholesterol level. For Natrol's Garlipure, we select each clove of garlic before it goes into the ground. And Garlipure's exclusive cool-dry process preserves the maximum amount of garlic's active ingredients. And because it's Natrol's Garlipure, you know it's the best. You have my word on it. Natrol Garlipure, available at Rite Aid.
Show her you'll love her for the next 1,000 years. A diamond is forever. De Beers.
2 years ago, we were with General Powell in Philadelphia when he kicked off a program called America's Promise. Its goal was a pledge to help 2 million kids by 2000. A lot of people thought it would fail. How's it doing?
I think it's doing very, very well. In fact, it's gaining momentum. I'm very pleased with the progress America's Promise has made. It's nothing less than a crusade. You know, it started out being, let's get the Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 100 companies to do more. But it's turned into a movement that's bringing in governors and mayors and county commissioners and corporate leaders and religious leaders and educational leaders to the simple proposition that all of our children need to be pointed in the right direction, need to have the character and the competence they need to be successful in this 21st century world economy.
And we get
It's
great
working.
lessons from Ariana Huffington. Took my wife and I to this place in South Central LA where kids who are in gangs, tough kids, have a new place to go.
Yeah, yeah.
And what tremendous kids they are.
They are. Every child is born tremendous.
Yeah, there's no bad kid.
There's no bad kid born. Every child is born with all the gifts from God that every other child has. And it's what we as adults do with those children. And you can't expect a child to grow up and gain character if he or she doesn't see in his or her life people of character. So we believe in mentors. Where parents aren't up to the task, let's bring in mentors. They need safe places to learn and to grow.
How'd you pick that wagon?
We picked the wagon. It was
I love that wagon.
A couple of very smart guys working for me one night said, you know, we got to have a brand. Everybody's got to have a brand. You got to have a logo for this. And something that when you see it, you think of a pleasant childhood. And they said
Red
something
Rider.
like a red wagon. And so that was a radio flyer red wagon. It brings back that image of a paper route or collecting metal for a
little black handle.
And it comes with a long black handle so that when the way of life gets a little rough and you can't pull that wagon easily, the child can't, an adult reaches down and helps. And that's what this is all about.
It was non-governmental, though, right? It was volunteerism.
It was volunteerism, but that's too narrow a word. We're now expanding in every direction. Volunteers, money, corporations giving their time and talent and treasure, churches designating churches as churches of promise, governors creating states of promise, communities of promise, whether it's Governor Jeb Bush in Florida trying to get 200,000 mentors organized in Florida. We've got the other Governor Bush doing the same thing in Texas, Governor Carper in Delaware, Governor Hunt in North Carolina,
Democrats,
Governor Underwood,
Republicans.
Governor Leavitt, Governor Engler. I mean, we're getting them all involved for the simple purpose of bringing into the lives of children at risk what they need to become children of promise. We can't leave these kids behind. But most of our kids are doing fine, Larry. Most of our kids are in good homes and they're being taken care of. It's the kids that are not doing fine that are going to get left further and further behind, faster and faster.
By the way, if you want more information on America's Promise, the number is 888, that's toll-free, 888-559-6884. 888-559-6884. We're going to break in a couple of moments and then take calls as well with more questions of the General. You were telling me something very interesting about we can't even relate our generation to what the young child faces today, right? This is apples and oranges.
Yeah, I know. You and I grew up sort of getting from our parents thinking about fascism and communism and what
we
baseball...
were like our fathers.
We were like our fathers. We were derivative. But the next generation coming along, my grandchildren and your young son, different. They're growing up in a digital world, not knowing anything about communism, the Cold War, Vietnam, Korea. All that's in the past. They're growing up visual and they're growing up digital. And they're entering a new world where there is no great strategic threat out there in terms of competing ideology to ours.
There's no fear they're going to get bombed.
No,
right?
there are other fears. There are things we have to worry about, but not the kind of fears that you and I grew up worrying about. Our kids are not going to have to dive under the desk, taught to be diving under a desk because of nuclear war. This is great. This is a remarkable opportunity, but we've got to get these youngsters ready. And whereas we lost the certainty of the Cold War and lost the sort of sense of direction that gave to us, we've got to make sure that these young kids growing up in this digital visual world do not grow up without a sense of direction, without a sense of purpose, without an understanding of the responsibility we're giving to them.
Is that a danger in this easy digital world?
There's a danger in this easy digital world of
information
great
will
wealth.
come very easily to them.
Information will come
We went to the
very easily.
library.
Yeah, well, but that's good information coming easily. But one of the reasons America's Promise has included among the things we're working on, service to others, service learning, is to make sure that all of our youngsters grow up understanding that giving back to someone else is more important than just seeing whether your sneakers cost more than somebody else or whether you got a more expensive car at your 16th birthday than somebody else did.
Our guest is General Colin Powell. We'll be taking your calls as we move ahead on this, our Millennium Month. Friday night, New Year's, Christmas Eve, we'll be at the Mormon Tabernacle in Utah with Gordon B. Hinckley, president of the Mormon Church, and Bishop Tutu will be with us on that show from the National Cathedral, and Reverend Robert Schuller from Jerusalem. Saturday night, the world's most famous physicist, Stephen Hawking from Cambridge, England. Thursday, President Clinton. Tomorrow, Mike Wallace. More with General Powell right after this.
What is your
tonight on CNN Newsstand. Patrols are put on high alert along the Canadian border. What efforts are being made to prevent terrorism? CNN Newsstand, tonight, 10 Eastern.
Ben Bridge presents the Raymond Weil Ladies Chorus with Austrian Crystal Dial. The Raymond Weil Tango with brilliant blue dial. Dazzle them this holiday season. Think inside the box.
The Diamond People, Ben Bridge.
Thanks to a unique program here at Hillsborough Chrysler Plymouth and Jeep, we've been able to arrange financing for thousands of people with serious credit problems. It may be because of the loss of a job, bankruptcy, divorce, or even a repossession. Just tell us why your credit's been damaged, and we guarantee to offer you financing. We have a huge selection of new and used vehicles to choose from, with payments as low as $89. New Start Financing from Hillsborough Chrysler Plymouth and Jeep. We guarantee to offer you financing. Call now.
100 hours of Millennium 2000, only on CNN.
Our guest is General Colin Powell. 4 days after you retired, that wonderful scene we saw, Somalia happened, right? U.S. Rangers killed. Did you see that coming?
I did. I didn't see that specific action coming, but we were all concerned at that time. My boss, Secretary of Defense Les Aspin, and I and the Joint Chiefs of Staff were concerned that we had drifted into a different kind of mission, and we were anxious to withdraw from that mission, but we weren't able to get out in time before that terrible incident happened.
We talked about children, and we did say naturally you would listen to any president who talked to you about anything. So leaving you aside, what will be the big problem the Secretary of State in this next 10 years is going to face in a world where we are the strong, we, the United States, is the power, and who's ever in second place is a distant second militarily? What's the problem diplomatically?
There'll be lots of problems and challenges that come along, but the biggest overarching issue will be how to use that position of superiority and power in the most prudent way, how to not throw it around, how to make sure we keep our alliances intact, how do we deal with the two great nations that are out there that will be the ones that have to get most of our attention, and that's Russia and the People's Republic of China, and how to do that without ignoring our other interests in other parts of the world. And so we need to preserve that power. We got to make sure that, for example, the United States Armed Forces remain the #1 on the face of the earth, even though people say, what's the threat, what's the threat? Believe me, there'll be a threat if we're not #1 militarily.
The guard never goes down then?
No, never let your guard down. This is the time not to do what we have done after every other conflict in the 20th century, and let our guard down. Once you let your guard down, people say, we can challenge them. They're not watching. They don't care. So more than ever, this is the time for the United States Armed Forces to maintain its superiority throughout the world. Not for the purpose of intervening everywhere or to bully anybody, but just to let everyone know we are prepared to protect our interest and the interest of our friends in the world. And then work with Russia and China, keep our great European and Asian alliances intact. Check those rogue regimes that are out there, whether it's in Iraq or Iran or North Korea. None of these are growth industries. We will not see these countries as they currently exist in 10 or 15 years. They're being left behind. Saddam Hussein sits there, and the leaders in North Korea sit there, and they're getting poorer and they're getting weaker, and the rest of the world is beginning to understand what democracy and the free enterprise system and the individual rights of men and women allowed to be free can do for you.
What do you make of this isolationist movement?
I don't
led by, I guess, Pat Buchanan would be the example of the leader of it.
It's just out of touch with reality. But there's no such. We can't be isolationists. The world is it can't tolerate American isolationism, and it won't work, and it just will not be the case. We have to be involved in the world stage. We are the leader of the world that wants to be free. People look to us for our model of how democracy works, how we make sure that our wealth spreads throughout our society. They look to us for political and diplomatic leadership, and our armed forces still remain the guardian of democracy throughout the world.
Before we take some phone calls, on a personal note, how did you overcome what must have been the obvious anger of racism? I mean, you had to have some anger, right? I see it in your life. You certainly saw it in the Army when you went in.
It wasn't.
You didn't?
Sure did. I mean, I came in at a time when in the military we were ahead of the rest of the society. So I led quite a sheltered life in the military, and I was able to advance. But I saw it in my society, and I saw it when I left the base. But I always viewed racism as not my problem. It's someone else's problem. It's the nation's problem. It's the problem of the racist. I don't have a problem. I believe in myself. I believe in my country. I will work hard and I will study hard to do the best job that I possibly can. And my parents taught me, my community in New York and my family taught me that these barriers would eventually be swept away. And you just be ready when those opportunities come your way. So racism can be a destructive force inside it. You can allow it to eat yourself up. To eat you up, and I just try to avoid that.
What about anger at the stupidity? I mean, it is stupid. Anger, racism is stupid.
Sure, it's stupid.
What do you do with that? You must have had anger.
You swallow it. You swallow it. You swallow it.
You Jackie Robinson it? You turn the other cheek, as Branchford told
you have to do that. You have to wait until the society realizes that they have to measure you as you are, not by what stereotype they have about you.
But when Jackie was able to speak out, he became a forceful
leader in the civil rights movement to help move the country. And I think that all of the great civil rights leaders of that time helped the country look in the mirror. But remember, it was essentially a non-violent movement led by Dr. Martin Luther King. And what Dr. King and Jesse Jackson and all the other great leaders, Rosa Parks and all the rest of them I could name, knew was that you keep shining this mirror with a bright light and let Americans look at what we were doing, it would eventually change.
Jesse told me that you did a lot that never got any attention in the military. True? You did a lot? I mean, you straightened out a lot of things that didn't get newspaper attention.
Well, not sure what Jesse was referring to, but I did a lot of things in the military that I'm quite proud of, and I didn't need to get any newspaper attention. You have to remember, I was a professional soldier, not a politician or a public figure until very recently. And so I tried to do things within the institution that I was so proud of.
He had the same attitude as a gentleman I knew who passed away, Cappy James.
Great man.
General
Chappie James, the first black four-star general.
Jacksonville. No, Pensacola.
Yeah, and he was an inspiration to all of us who came along behind.
He was some guy.
Yeah. People say, well, did you know General James? Of course, I knew General James. I was a colonel, and he was a four-star general, so I didn't know that well. And he was in the Air Force, I was in the Army. But General James and I and the other blacks who've been able to become senior officers, we owed so much to those who came before us. Who really blazed
those
the trail.
Squadrons that didn't get attention.
The Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers, and we owe so much to the great warriors of the civil rights movement of the 60s that finally continued the Reconstruction that was aborted after the Civil War.
Did you ever wonder why some of those blacks fought as they did for a country that didn't let them eat at the diner when they got back?
We all thought about that all the time, and the simple answer was that African Americans, notwithstanding how we were brought here, love this country. It is our country. And we've always been willing to fight for it, even though it wasn't willing to fight for us.
Back with more of General Colin Powell. We'll include your phone calls. That number again for America's Promise, you help yourself when you help kids, is 888-559-6884. 888-559-6884. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
High roads of the future.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Looking back on when I was a little nappy-headed boy.
Music is continuous. It's never ending. It's the one place in the arts that never gets old, because there's always someone who rediscovers something about that form of music. An example is Big Bad Voodoo Daddies and their appreciation for swing, for jazz.
And it's you and me and the bottleneck street tonight.
I don't think anything's really going to ever be completely new. It seems like things really just repeat themselves.
Everything basically has to come from something, because something was here before you. Something was here before me. That was music. Music has been here ever since life began, I think. Ever since man found out that he could go, that was it right there.
No, we've got to find a way.
I would like to feel that when people think of people such as Marvin Gaye and the various artists that were very, very successful in the 70s and 60s, that they will too understand that their music, their songs, their melodies will be rediscovered again. And that's the great thing about music.
There's been all different kinds of music come and go, but the real good stuff will always be around.
This Voices of the Millennium has been brought to you by United Airlines. Rising is a daily commitment to make flying more civilized. United is rising.
$90,000 United employees are doing what they can to make air travel better. Rising is performance.
Deadlines have no mercy. Thankfully, wherever you are, whenever you're finished, you can send a document to Sir Speedy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sir Speedy will print, copy, bind, and deliver your work when and where you need it. Use the internet or call your nearby Sir Speedy and be part of the printing, copying, digital network.
I will not forget that I have long-term responsibilities.
I won't let panic triumph over reason. I'll stay the course when everyone else says the sky is falling.
The stock market moves up and down, sometimes dramatically. In my 30-year career, the stock market's gone up over 10-fold. But in that same time period, it's had 14 drops of 10% or more. Stay the course. That's what I've always done.
For more information on Fidelity funds with a history of solid performance, visit Fidelity.com.
You know what I like about working at Office Depot during the holidays? Customers like Greg McCormick. He's so nice. His company makes peppermint candy canes, and he loves giving them out to just about everyone while he does his holiday shopping. He also loves saving money on everything he buys. Lucky for us, though, the holidays come only once a year. All that candy gets to be pretty tempting.
Shop Office Depot, online or in our store.
Thanks for shopping Office Depot.
Here, have a candy cane.
Bye.
Bye.
He's certainly one of the most admired figures worldwide, General Colin Powell. Let's go to calls. LOJ, Georgia. Hello.
General Powell, you're obviously a great leader. In your opinion, who is your favorite American president today?
You know, I always hate to single out. There are so many great presidents, but the one that immediately leaps to mind that is a source of enormous inspiration to me every day is Thomas Jefferson. His concept of what the American Republic is all about. Every American ought to read the first and second inaugural addresses once a year to get an understanding of what the American system was to be about. So I look to Jefferson more than anyone else for inspiration, but of course I would also have to list Lincoln and Washington and Roosevelt, and I would also include the Republican presidents that I work with so very, very closely, Ronald Reagan and President George Bush, for that long period of time that I worked with them in office.
We know about Ronald Reagan's condition and see Nancy frequently. I guess you haven't seen him in a while. This must be a very sad tale to you, because he gave you big jobs, right?
He made me National Security Advisor, first African-American to be National Security Advisor or to be Deputy National Security Advisor. And I worked very closely with the President for 2 years. I'm a great admirer of him. He captured the American spirit.
Didn't see color, did he?
No. I said in my memoirs that he could have done a lot more. But in terms of my selection, he didn't make any difference. I never had a day where I thought he was seeing me as other than his National Security Advisor, not his black National Security Advisor.
Phoenix, Arizona, hello.
General Powell, as a retired World War II Navy captain, my concern is that in spite of the damage we inflicted on Iraq during the Gulf War, we find today that Saddam Hussein is firmly back in power. Why did we terminate our advance when only 2 days out of Baghdad, sir?
The mission that was given to us by the United Nations was not to go to Baghdad. It was to kick the Iraqi army out of Kuwait and restore a legitimate government. And we did that. There was never a plan. It was never part of the coalition mission. And frankly, we all believe that the coalition would have fallen apart, especially the Arab members of the coalition would have departed from the coalition if we had made that our objective to go to Baghdad and get involved in who should be running Baghdad. It is now some years later, we all regret that Saddam Hussein is still there, but he is not the Saddam Hussein. It is not the force that it was back in 1990. We really did bring that army down to size, and the only thing he can do now is play with the fool's gold of unconventional weapons, weapons of mass destruction, and we've got to keep him contained, and in due course, he will pass like the other tyrants we have seen in history, while the world is leaving him behind as it moves into the digital age and the world of global economics.
More with Colin Powell on this edition of Larry King Live, coming up right after this. Don't go away.
You know, I honestly didn't think that I would see the turn of the millennium. I'm still hoping that I will. To see it is amazing to me. And it's going to take me a while to kind of sort out.
I'm reminded that at the beginning of this century, people thought we were going to drop letters from the alphabet. Strawberries would be as big as apples, and kissing would be outlawed because it would be unhygienic. I'm very careful about making predictions for the next century.
You know, when I began as a broadcast journalist, I don't think I looked ahead to the year 2000 thinking I would be on NBC kind of introducing a new century. But now I'm rather excited about it.
People are beginning to think of the automobile not just as a family vehicle, but as a personal and individual means of transportation.
The throb of a powerful engine. Now for a moment imagine yourself as driver of this automobile. You really have to drive it.
At the Chrysler Proving Ground,
Give them an expressway and their drivers are...
I think we've made the scenic back roads fun to drive.
Or give them any country or suburban road, rough or smooth. They're the type of people who like the feel of a fine machine.
love to drive the renowned engineers of Chrysler.
A minimum of ornamentation and a minimum of chrome moldings.
She's a regular firecracker. The sounds of nature sing their prettiest over the rich, throaty obligato of his engine.
Even sheet metal can have a soul.
And they give you back the romance of driving.
And that is why these will never land on an ordinary car.
And you find out what exceptional unity of man and machine has been achieved.
Thanks. Now for my favorite song.
A few cold ones and Big Mr. Fix-It thinks he's a crooner.
This old house is getting shaky. This old house is getting old.
Staying in control doesn't mean staying away from fun. Coors NA is ice-cold Rocky Mountain refreshment without all the alcohol. Serve great tasting Coors NA so guests can get home safely. It's perfect for designated drivers and karaoke singers.
And now for a timeless ballad about power tools.
Critics are calling Anna and the King a spectacular epic. One magnificent journey, both romantic and thrilling. It's one of the best films of the decade. Anna and the King, rated PG-13. Now playing.
Tonight on CNN Newsstand. 'Tis the season to travel, but is all well across the nation? With the recent arrest at the Canadian-U.S. border, what efforts are being made to keep the peace? CNN Newsstand. Tonight, 10 Eastern.
Virginia Beach, Virginia, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Larry, this is retired Sergeant First Class Karen Myers, and I
Hi.
used to work for General Powell
Sure did. Hi,
when he
Karen.
was a colonel in the Carter administration.
Aha.
I still have his leadership poster on my office wall. Says, "You must love your soldiers with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. You must give nothing less." And I've always believed that General Powell gave nothing less. My question
Wow.
to him is, would you accept a cabinet-level position if offered, such as the Secretary of Defense?
We asked it earlier, and
Yeah.
he's open.
I would always consider it, Karen, but I wouldn't commit myself now. You always consider anything that the president
Well, if the president
or
asks.
president-elect asks you to do, but I wouldn't.
Karen, are you
Karen,
there?
nice. It really is wonderful hearing from you.
Well,
there.
Karen, what kind of guy was he to work for?
Easy, Karen. Careful.
He was absolutely wonderful. He trusted me to do more than I think my rank called for at that time, but he allowed me to be all I could be.
Wow. What about women in the military?
Oh, I support them. I mean, they're an essential part of the military force, and they will go into battle with the men when the time comes, and they did. They did that in Desert Storm. I do draw the line, as we have drawn the line in the military, on close combat, infantry and armor and that kind of close combat.
I want to ask you your thoughts about Columbine and other shootings, Columbine, I guess, being all-inclusive of. What do you make of this?
The good news is that violence among young people and in schools has been going down. But when you have a Columbine and some of the other instances that we've seen, it's frightening. And when you look at some of the youngsters, and there's no, you know, you say these are kids who are in good homes, but they were missing something in their lives. Somewhere along the line, we lost them. They didn't get the character they needed. They didn't have that moral compass put in their soul and in their brain and in their heart that says you don't do things like this, no matter what your anger is. Somehow they got away from the community, the family, and I don't just mean their own family, but the family of the school. They got away from us. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why with America's Promise, we're talking about making sure that youngsters get included in things in the act of service to others, so that they realize that they are always youngsters of value because they can give to others.
Is this an anomaly? Is this just a...
I don't think you can call it just a single anomaly, because we're having too many of them. We have a lot of these are sort of following from one from the other. They're a little bit of copycat in all of this. I think the media ought to stop overdoing the coverage and the hyping. And
I mean, don't go there and stay there 24 hours?
Of course not. It's a news story. You got to cover it. I don't know that we need to make it a profit center where we follow it day after day after day, and we analyze and we pull it apart.
Our
and
answer
we
would
essentially,
be the public wants to see it.
Well, I don't think that's as responsible an answer as one could give. Sure, the public wants to see it and they want to pander in it, but I think you tell the news story, you analyze it, and then you move on. I don't know that we ought to make one of these a continuing drama that goes on and perhaps encourages some other youngster to get attention.
Athens, Greece, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. For us, it's 5 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Good morning.
What's your question?
It was very difficult to call you, but anyway, you had your telephone number on the screen. My question is, your lovely general, how does he feel about the last bombing in Yugoslavia, the last April 99?
All right, I'm going to take a break, come back, and have him discuss that most recent of military actions in our remaining moments with General Colin Powell. Don't go away.
Shop the world's finest brands under one roof. Yours. LuxuryFinder.com. For the holidays.
BNP Paribas Group, a highly diversified international bank with global knowledge and local market expertise, gives U.S. investors access to global markets. Discover BNP Paribas Group, a solid platform for informed, innovative solutions.
KJ McAllister mailed in her entry. Beverly Cook mailed in her entry. But this Super Bowl Sunday, you could win $21 million without mailing in an entry. Publishers Clearinghouse introduces PCH.com. Just go online, enter, and you could win $21 million. Of course, if you want to mail it in, that'll work too. So watch your mail or go to PCH.com. And on Super Bowl Sunday, the $21 million winner could be you.
Buzz Aldrin and I don't take the same approach to investing. I like trading at home. Buzz trades from far away. Gotcha. We do, however, share the same new way to trade online.
Introducing Power Street by Fidelity, with the tools you need to trade your way, whether online, two-way pager, or the new Palm 7 handheld computer.
And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to use it.
Speak for yourself, Bob.
Power Street at Fidelity.com. Online trading gets personal.
We're back. Forgive us for laughing, but we just figured if Colin Powell were the next Secretary of State and then discovered that he was Jewish, this could be a whole new wave, right?
You ought to read my memoirs. You'll discover I do.
That's right, you are.
So?
I read your memoirs, I remember, but now this is the new bit.
You forgot, huh?
Okay. All right, what did you make of...
It was an interesting question from Greece, and the president was faced with a difficult political choice, how to apply force in a way that would cause Mr. Milosevic to yield, and he elected to use solely an air power option. I would have preferred to use all the forces available to the president.
But it worked, didn't it?
It worked in due course. It probably took longer than it might have, my judgment, individual judgment. It took longer than it might have if he had put in play a ground option, or at least the threat of a ground option, instead of removing it totally from the table. But at the end of the day, the Serbs withdrew in good order, and we still have a difficult situation there, but the fighting is over and the ethnic cleansing is over.
General, it is Millennium Month. We see America's promise. We're on the threshold here of a new century. What do you worry about the most?
I worry that we're going to go into the next century and see the spread of democracy, which is good. This is not a worry. This is a good part. And see market economics continuing to spread as the model that works. And we may risk leaving too many people behind. We may leave too many people behind. Young people who haven't been educated for this world, people in other parts of the world who don't have enough to eat, people such as the people in Southern Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa right now who are being ravaged by AIDS, and we have to do something about that. So I worry that as we go forward and accumulate wealth and see the spread of democracy, we have to make sure that we share the benefits of democracy and the free enterprise system with those of our own citizens and citizens of the world who are still in need. That's a great worry to me, because if that isn't taken care of, if we leave the least fortunate behind, the less fortunate behind, then we're not living up to the true dream of our country.
30 seconds, you fear any of technology?
No, I'm not afraid of technology.
No.
Technology has done wonderful things in this century and will do even greater things in the next century.
No computer fright?
Well, no, I'm not afraid of that. I think we'll have problems with computers from time to time, but we'll overcome them.
Y2K?
Y2K, I'm sure there will be some glitches. I had one in my own personal life. I registered a new car, and when it came back, it was registered as a 1900 model. But that's okay. We took care of it. But those little glitches will occur, but I don't think there's going to be a meltdown of society come.
Hey, a 1900 car, you can make a fortune with it. That's before Ford invented it. America's Promise, the phone number of the Alliance for Youth is 1-888-559-6884. It's toll free. You couldn't help a better cause. We couldn't have had a better guest than General Colin Powell. Tomorrow night, Mike Wallace. Newsstand with Bill Hemmer, anchoring from Atlanta, is straight ahead. We talked about it before. Terrorist fears and tightened security at U.S. airports. It's next on Newsstand.
Beginning in 10 days, 100 hours of non-stop around-the-world coverage. Millennium 2000, only on CNN.
Finding that car you've always wanted has never been easier.
About it,